Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channels, sponsored by Indigo Communications. Alan Ruff, Tam Cowan and Gary Holt is our special guest today. Delighted that Gary could join us. Don't forget, you can hit the subscribe button, join the football family here, and of course, Monday to Friday we're live at 4 o'clock on a regular basis for you with so much unique content that you can plug into on PLZ Soccer. So, lots to talk about. Let's get to the meat and bones of it all. Not only will we be talking about Rangers in European action shortly against RB Leipzig at Ibrox, which will be absolutely bouncing. We'll talk about domestic issues as well. Managers coming and going, and we'll get the thoughts of Gary on what his future plans are. Ruffy, I think last night, a million and one of us were all sitting there watching a game unfold that had a script that I don't think even the craziest of person could have written in the 90th minute.
No, I think Man City fans who obviously weren't at that game would be watching the telly thinking it's done and dusted. That said, the quality that was on the field for both sides, you know, you would have thought the quality that Man City had, they would be able to see that game out, you know, the way they're so organised now. But it just shows you in football, when you've got quality on the other side, things like that can happen. So you have to keep going right to the end. Yeah, absolutely. And if you were in the bath, Gary, I was sitting on a couch thinking I'm going in to watch the second instalment of Ozark, and then all of a sudden we have to just say to everybody, look, hang fire, we're on to extra time.
Aye, it was quite surreal because I, like you said, jumped in the bath thinking the game was done, and my son comes banging in the door. It's one each, you need to get out. And I was like, right, okay. Comes through, and he came running through thinking, I'll wind up my dad up, play a prank on him. It's 2-1, it's 2-1. They went, they actually did score, it's 2-1. I was like, right, there you go. So,
it's a bit of a tame prank, surely a 2-bar electric fire in the bath, that'd have been a...
that's why you have a look at the door. But no, it was surreal to see.
Alistair Andrews just turned around and says, Ruffy, you got it spot on with Ancelotti. I mean, as a manager, are we maybe sometimes obsessed with the likes of a Pep Guardiola because of the style of football and the teams that he's managed and some of the success that he's had? Ancelotti in the biggest leagues in the world, and he's managed 5 different clubs to success.
We all love, don't get me wrong, we all love Pep, we love the style of football, we love all that, but people, and probably Peter, one of the things I hate is people say, oh, you're old school. But old school for me is about values, old school values of discipline and respect and trust, and I think that's what Ancelotti has. He gets out of his players, he's got that aura about them. It's not, he's an old school manager, back to front, and that's what annoys me. Yeah, I like new school, I like Pep, I like playing football, I like to have the ball on the deck, but give me old school values, not old school football. It's not like let's get it and just bang it back to front and we crash bang wallop. It's the values that Ancelotti brings and instills in these players. That's something that you buy into and you look at, and he's not done bad by it. And you know what, I think closer to home, a lot closer to home, I think the old school part went out the window this season anyhow with Dick Campbell, who's dismissed by many people, a dinosaur and all the rest of it. And look at the wonders he's achieved with a part-time club there, you know.
You speak to the players, Tam, and they love him.
Aye, absolutely. And there was only one guy when we were at your, which you hosted marvellously, the PFA dinner last Sunday. There was I saw, if you like, old school Dick and fine flow. Dick had come in his finery. He'd only just arrived, and some young guy went to run by him, 2 pints, right oil Dick. Absolutely soaked, and Dick said, "Oh, Jings." Oh, he absolutely. Honestly, I think the boy would have gone straight home or out to hospital or something.
If he was in a broth beer, it was on the transfer list.
So no, exactly, and you know, it'd be great just if you the way the figure was doing the rounds about how much Mourinho got in payoffs alone, 91 million. I would like to know though how much Mr. Ancelotti has had spent, how much he's had at his disposal when he's rattled up that record, you know.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I mean, not that, and again, sometimes you can be accused on this programme, when we actually do our market research, Ruffy, you know, you get Tam McManus on, you've got Richard Foster on, there's a kind of a younger element to it. But I think it's pertinent to highlight at times, Ancelotti was part of the greatest AC Milan side that ever took to the field. I mean, a fantastic player.
It was his whole history of what he's done and what he's achieved and where he's come from. It's there. It's facts. It's something that you can buy. And it's like Tam said there, even about Dick Campbell. That's what I go back to about the old. It's not old school dinosaur. It's old school values.
Yep. Yeah.
The players respect him. They trust him. They believe in what Dick's trying to do. And you get tarred with this brush. You're a dinosaur. You play back to front. He plays football to win the game. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, there's another one. Yet another one to throw into the mix. John McGlynn. Falkirk, I'm sure there'll be a smarter than a folk saying, "Oh, John McGlynn, what age is he now?" And that seems a strange one, but I think that he's exactly the right sort of appointment at a club like Falkirk now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about old school values. If anything, I think a lot of people are mentioning on our feed here about the fact that, Liverpool, Real Madrid is a dream final, says Gallant. What a game that will be. Looking forward to that. This one here from David McFarlane, who says, good to see a foreign team in the Champions League final along with Liverpool. I was getting a bit fed up with two English teams in it. And from my point of view, Rafi, I know I mentioned to you about 5 or 6 years ago on this programme, I said it's coming, they will dominate, European football for years to come because their spending power is way above everybody else. But when you're talking about the game itself over that 90 minutes, Real Madrid never had a shot on target in 90 minutes.
Yeah, but that's the way the game goes, isn't it? You sometimes when it gets that late, you just throw caution to the wind and you know what you've got to get. And the quality players that are on the park come up with the goods. We've said this all along in the Champions League. Usually it's won by somebody doing something a wee bit special. But I agree with you. I wanted Man City to win because I quite like Man City, but
yeah,
I think it's good.
Have you ever seen them rattled like that before?
No.
See, they end up when, as if they were going to get the winner in normal time, but Man City suddenly, I've seen this for teams, for Motherwell, for my team at third part, maybe you go a goal up against Celtic or Rangers, Celtic Rangers at one back and suddenly they're a bag of nerves and they just, they can't hold the ball for 2 seconds. I never expected to see that in a Man City team, but that's what it was like last night. It was astonishing stuff.
Do you know what's funny, Tom? We're talking there about Pep and how he plays and going on about old school dinosaurs and things like that. Did you see what Man City done though in the last couple of minutes? Laporte went up the park and they banged it long.
Yeah.
Aye,
there was none of that. Let's hang about here.
It doesn't matter. It goes out the window when you're losing the game and you're trying to get back in it. The big guy centre half and up front, keeper banged it back to front.
See if you can get a flick on or a drop down for the second
ball. I noticed as well the referee called it a wee bit earlier. Did you notice?
10 seconds. Have you got 2 goals in then, Ruffy?
Or maybe BT Sport would tell them they want to get another advert in. It might have been that.
No, I think the good thing about it is that the familiarity of Man City and Liverpool playing each other isn't there now. So you've got another team, who might have different aspect of how to play. But a wee boy gave me a bit of history might be about to happen in this European year.
Oh, well, hang fire.
If you can think what it is.
Hang fire, because...
Can I say for your correspondent there that sent in, but I'm guessing that's a bit tongue-in-cheek when he said it's good to get a foreign team in. I mean, there's with the best one in the world, how many Englishmen start every game for Liverpool?
Yeah.
Who does?
Well, you've got Andy Robertson, who's home-based. Is that fair?
You nearly time doing his English.
Oh, home-based. This is home-based.
Right, okay.
Trent Alexander's in there is another one. You've got James Milner sometimes. Jordan Henderson.
Right.
Okay.
And what have the Romans ever done for us?
Yeah. You've asked me. Ruffy, brilliant. That's just so unlike you. But anyway, apart from anything else, no surprise, Pep Guardiola gutted.
Yeah, it's tough for us, so we cannot deny it. So we're so close to arrive Champions League final. We didn't play much good in the first half. We didn't found our game, but it's normal, in this competition, it's normal.
And no surprise, he's absolutely gutted. It was something that I want to see if you can get this. We put together a little package here, which I think lots of people who enjoy football, we're just about to talk about Rangers, and hopefully for the Rangers fans tonight, the enjoyment of watching Rangers overturn that 1-0 deficit. But as far as comebacks go, thinking about it, here's the top 5 comebacks that we've come up with in football history, near and far.
1-0 down with just minutes remaining, Real Madrid produced a comeback for the ages last night to stun Manchester City and move into the Champions League final. Let's take a look at some of the most dramatic comebacks in football history. At number 5, Liverpool looked down and out in the semi-finals after a 3-0 first leg defeat in Barcelona. But roared on by the Anfield crowd, Jurgen Klopp's side brought it back to level terms through goals from Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum. Quick thinking from Trent Alexander-Arnold at a corners then set up Divock Origi to fire home a memorable comeback for the Reds. At number 4, Tottenham rallied from 2-0 down against Ajax to steal their place in the final. Spurs looked down and out heading into injury time before Lucas Moura popped up to score the winner, sparking emotional scenes on the touchline from boss Mauricio Pochettino. At number 3, Bayern Munich looks set to lift the trophy after a closely fought final against Manchester United. However, a pair of injury time strikes from Sir Alex Ferguson's side, first through Teddy Sheringham and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with just 2 minutes remaining, sealed the treble for United. At number 2, Liverpool trailed by 3-0 at half-time in the Champions League final in Istanbul in 2005. But a Steven Gerrard-inspired comeback saw Liverpool score 3 times in 6 second-half minutes to force extra time and penalties. Jerzy Dudek then denied Andrei Shevchenko with a decisive spot kick in the penalty shootout to complete the most remarkable turnaround in Champions League final history. And taking the number 1 spot, Barcelona were playing for pride in the second leg against PSG in 2017 after a 4-0 defeat in Paris the week before. An early goal from Luis Suarez gave Barca a glimmer of hope, but the Spanish side still trailed 5-3 on aggregate with just 2 minutes remaining. Neymar struck twice to move Barca level in the tie before Sergio Roberto ghosted in from a cross to secure a dramatic 6-5 aggregate victory. Do you agree with any of our picks? If so, which comebacks stand out to you? Let us know in the comments section below.
Yeah, great there from Kerry Pollock, just going through those 5, not necessarily in any great order. I'm sure people will think Istanbul's the best. Have we missed any? Are there any that stick in your mind, Gary?
No, I think the Man U one's the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
It was also the year I get married that week, so I remember it really well.
I misheard you.
But no, it was. I still think that's the one for me to score the 2 goals as late as they did. And that final was something else.
Can't believe you missed the one that took place a mile and a half from where we're sitting just now.
What, 6-2 and then 6-0?
Yeah, absolutely. Motherwell Hibs. What was it? It was in May the 5th, 2010. And of course, what was even better about that, there was that amazing Van Basten style strike from Lukas Jutkovic got us the draw, but it wasn't included there.
It was, amazingly. Don't look at me, it was Kerry that put it together. Anyway, apart from anything else, Ruffy, well, we're doing it at certain levels. No disrespect to the 6 goals from Motherwell, but the reason why I put the Barcelona one in is because he had a bet with me, PSG to win the Champions League, and then Barcelona with the ultimate comeback.
I couldn't see that coming.
Yeah,
and I texted him out right after. What was the first leg score? Was it 4-0?
Yeah, I think it was 4.
PSG, and your team's out. And,
absolutely.
The reply in the next game is no.
Anyway,
so who replaces Kerry next week?
Well, it's not Gabs. Anyway, apart from anything else, some great games. You can give us your thoughts.
What was the great one? Sorry, what was the great one? There was a betting syndicate lost tens of millions on it. It was an English game. Was it Spurs, Man City? It was something like 5-0 at half time, and somebody came back to 5 each. You remember that? No. And at half time, one of these big Asian betting syndicates, the odds had been on, something like 100, 200, 500 to 1 on.
I remember the betting syndicate,
millions to win a handful of cash.
Was it 5-0?
It was something ridiculous. Yeah. Was it Spurs, Man City? We'll ask one of the viewers. Yeah, what a comeback that was.
Yeah, we're going to talk also. We mentioned yesterday about Maradona's shirt sale. We'll talk about that shortly. But I'm going to whiz on to the Europa League.
You say Maradona's shirt.
Yes.
When the guy was leaving with it yesterday, having spent £7.1 million on it, I had a bit of cardboard. Can I have your shirt, please? And he gave me it.
I've noticed, by the way, there's a trait, I don't know if you've noticed it, that kids are now regularly running on to try and get the shirt of them. We spotted it down at Anfield, didn't we, Gary? It's incredible. So we risk, but you're not going to arrest a kid for wanting a shirt, for God's sake. Have we moved on that much? Okay, listen, semi-finals of the Europa League. Big night for Rangers. Fingers crossed they can get, first of all, the goal back, and then I think a lot of Rangers players, certainly a lot of Rangers fans, will be looking on and thinking the tragedy of losing the kit man Jimmy Bell, who meant so much to so many around Ibrox. They'll be thinking to themselves, this could be a night to win it for Jimmy. I know a lot of the players and the manager would certainly like that emotionally. Paul Beattie says, Peter, I'll be gutted tonight if we don't make it through, but I have to say the Thursday nights we've experienced as Rangers fans has been absolutely fantastic this season. And I think, you know, when you think about, everybody's talking about Real Madrid and who they've beaten on the way, Gary, but Rangers, all the way to the semi-final, they've taken some great scalps and provided the fans with some great memories, and this could be another special night tonight.
It could be. I hope it is. I'm not, as you know, Peter, I don't associate with either of the old firm.
Yeah.
But I think for Scottish football, it's been tremendous, and it only helps our co-efficiency. You've only seen it for next year with it going straight into the Champions League, the winners get. So, did I think Rangers would get to the semi-final? Not a chance. But I think the performances, especially going away from home sometimes and getting the results, and don't get me wrong, only losing 1-0 away in Leipzig isn't a bad result. So the place will be jumping tonight. The atmosphere will be electric, and hopefully they'll turn it around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share. One of our viewers says, win or lose tonight, I was still very proud of Rangers. I think a lot of Rangers fans, you know, regardless of the result tonight, Ruffy, would give them a standing ovation for what they've achieved this season under Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, any time they've gone into Europe, they've just raised the bar. You know, in every game that they've played, the players are a credit to the club, and you just hope they can do it again. You know, that obviously they're picking up injuries left, right and centre. They've got to go out there. I think we've already discussed it. I think it all depends on how the goal scoring goes tonight, who gets what goal and when it is. You know, we'll have a big part to play in the outline of the score, but I really don't think Rangers can afford to let them score, because that puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, the manager himself, Giovanni van Bronckhorst, clearly, I think, affected by the sad news of Jimmy Bell's passing, but realising that as a manager, this would be, I think, the pinnacle of his career if he was leading Rangers out in the Europa League final.
You know, you have goals in your career as a player, as a coach. You want to achieve great things. So and you know, you dream of coaching teams in finals. I mean, you have that as a player, you have that as a coach, and that gives you the drive to keep going. And you know, we are one step away of reaching the final. So you know, we're getting closer and closer.
I thought he was a fabulous player, but this undoubtedly, I think, would be even more special for him being the manager. If
yeah,
he could get
absolutely.
past it.
And I just think they've got every chance. I mean, one of my pals who's gone tonight, he said he'd never known any atmosphere like it at the Borussia Dortmund game at Ibrox. But you know what, tonight, and particularly because the emotions will be running high after the sad passing of their kit man, and you know what it's like after any kind of minute silence. Fans, they immediately raise the roof after that.
Yeah.
But you've got that on the night of a semi-final when they're one game away for a possible European trophy in Seville. It's going to be absolutely massive. But I would agree with Ruffy, because we've seen this in the past. I know they beat Borussia Dortmund for that point on, maybe even myself included. We're thinking Rangers could easily go on and win this now, but you know, they all tend to look very, very slick, you know, as we know that, you know, and you could just imagine this team coming to Ibrox tonight and just, you know, playing it wisely and knowing that they're a goal up and just doing what they had to do. But I think Rangers need to get right in about them early, maybe even take the same approach that they did. I mean, the first 20 minutes again against Celtic last week, they were brilliant. It was a bit like the cup game. I think they need to really go for the jugular and hope to get the goal back early doors.
Yeah, well, let's ask a man who's been in the dugout as a manager. What would your approach be?
I think Tom's definitely right. I think they've got to use the whole emotion of the game and use that to fuel their fire. I think, to go back to Ruffy's point there, it's with there not being away goals rule, they can lose a goal at home, because they're more than capable of scoring 2-3 in a game. So yeah. I think that's what the benefit this year of the European games. You've seen teams are prepared to go and, like the Man City, Real Madrid 4-3, they're prepared to go and try and score goals, because they know it's not really a detrimental effect. They're not going away from home and shutting up shop and no losing. So I think the first 20 minutes is massive. I think if they use that, get right in about them, keep the tempo really high, get chances, get the crowd, ride that wave of emotion, but keep it going. Don't let it kind of flatten. You just never know where it could go.
Are we, and sometimes we can be insular in our thinking here in Scotland about the standard, the levels that our footballers are playing at. But with Rangers over the last 3 or 4 months, it's not that they've surprised everybody, but when they're playing the game, they seem to have that style of how to play the European football. Technically, I don't think they should have an inferiority complex going in against RB Leipzig when you consider the scalps they've taken before.
No, definitely not. I think they've also got a calmness about them when they play in Europe. Maybe they're not the favourites. Maybe that helps them.
Yep.
Whereas in Scotland, they have to win every single game.
Absolutely.
They don't get away with draws. It's not allowed. They should win every game, and that adds pressure. Whereas in Europe, no one expects them to beat Dortmund. No one's expecting them to get to the next round. No one's expecting them to beat Leipzig. We're there. They're there. Let's have a go and see what they can
And
get.
what else might help tonight? I'm not saying it as if they're going in with a free hit. It's a European semi-final, for goodness sake. But courtesy of getting through to the Scottish Cup final, they know that no matter what, they've got the kind of what's always seen as the finale of the Scottish season to look forward to as well. With Celtic effectively having won the league, if Celtic had won that cup game and they were going to be in the Scottish Cup final, if it was suddenly looking as if it could have been a barren season for Rangers, that might have just added a bit of worry, a wee bit of panic into the mix tonight. Whereas I think they can just go out and absolutely give it their best shot. And again, nobody, as Gary said there, he's quite right. Rangers fans as well, if they were being absolutely honest, would have said at the start of this tournament, no way did they think they would go to the semi-final.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. This is always difficult picking an 11 that potentially could take to the field. There's a few tweaks here and there. Roofe and Ramsey have a chance of playing Ruffy. Some pundits have suggested with Roofe even 60% or 70% fit, throw him in. Here's a look at a potential 11. It's not too far away from kick-off. I'm sure we'll be getting a confirmed one shortly, but it's got a kind of a familiar look about it. McGregor, Tavernier, Golson, Bassi, Barisic, Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara, Sakala, Aribo, Kent. I mean, Sakala may well be, down the middle. You could twist a few of them about here and there, but as far as that 11 is concerned, I don't know if I would. I mean, on the basis of what Sakala's produced, does he not deserve that run out? And then you look at maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes of Roofe.
I think it's up to the manager to make that decision. Obviously, we don't know how fit Roofe is, so the manager's got to decide, will Roofe cause them more problems than Sakala? That's up to him to make that decision. Yeah, the boy Sakala will be buzzing, but Roofe has also proved that he can cause havoc in these European games, so it's a big call for the manager.
How many games has Roofe missed?
Well, I think he's missed a couple of them actually.
It seems a classic thing that he's going to then be on the bench, doesn't it? You can't imagine they're going to.
I think it's too big a game to throw somebody in who's not.
And I think 60% you can't play.
I think you've seen it with Kyle Walker last night. He gave you all, but you knew he was struggling.
Yep.
And he gave his all. Now, does that have a detrimental effect in the game? Does it? I don't know. It's only the Man City players could tell you. But I think with the magnitude of the game, Sakala playing well at the weekend, he'd be wanting to play. He'd be thinking he deserves a chance. So
I think he does deserve a chance. So I don't know about you, but if I'm going to say he surprised me, he surprised quite a lot of people, a lot of Rangers fans thinking, well, wait a minute, he's kind of been hot and cold, but the boy's been given a chance to play from the start, and he's thought, I've got to grasp this.
And I think that showed on Sunday. And there's that kind of naivety about him. He just goes and plays the game.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care about the occasion or who he's playing against. He just wants to play well for his team and for his teammates. So I think he deserves the opportunity to go and start the game tonight.
Yeah, thanks to Ronnie, says he's missed 3 games.
3? So he's not going to start tonight. Getting game's huge. You're making a rod for your own back, I would guess, as a manager, if you do that.
If he breaks down the first 5 minutes.
Quite sharp. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. There are certain players that you throw in right from the start, Ruffy, along the way. There's the Mark Hateleys, the Ali McCoys of the world, the Henrik Larssons.
There's been quite a lot of big, massive games and managers have taken chances and thrown players in, and as Gary said, they only last 6 minutes. Yeah. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head, there was a Celtic one, I think it was Paul Lambert they took a chance on, and Paul only lasted 7 or 8 minutes. So, and there was a big European tie as well. There was a really, really big player somebody took a gamble on, and he only lasted 10 minutes as
Yeah,
well.
no,
So,
I think I remember what you were talking about there.
so it's up to the manager. I mean, nowadays there's fitness coaches, there's everything will tell you how much they're going to last.
Okay, sometimes when people watch this, they'll watch it in America, they'll watch it in New Zealand and Australia and Canada as well, thanks to so many of the people who actually watch it in their own time on the app or indeed on YouTube a little later on at night. So when you give your prediction now, it can be unbelievably stupid when you look back on it, Ruffy, but we've got to call it. So I'll stick my head out first and say Rangers to win it 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 as well.
Yeah?
Yep.
I'll go 1-0 Rangers, win it on penalties. The hero will be Alan McGregor, and then the debate starts, do we play him in the Scottish Cup final or stick with John McLaughlin?
Yeah, it's a good shout, Tam. And of course, the other thing about it is, if it goes the way Tam has predicted, it's yet another night of just explaining to your partner, male or female.
Female.
No, I'm just saying.
I just thought you'd seen I just thought you'd maybe seen a photo and you couldn't determine.
No, I was merely highlighting the fact that lots of women watch the football and their husbands are in the other room watching something else. Well, I know for a fact Rhonda, who was at our table the other night there, brilliant player for Celtic, Rangers and Hibs, she'll be sitting there, and you've got to explain to your partner, by the way, this is going to extra time and penalties again, you know, so you're getting the cold stare, Ruffy, that's all I'm saying.
I thought Tam was going to go for his usual nothing each. I'd settled for that.
Yeah. Gary, what are you going for?
I think it was 2-1, and then I think Rangers will win it in extra time.
Right, that's good enough. And a big apology from everyone at PLZ Soccer to Liz Cowan, who we know is a female. There's no debate about that.
It has been since 2014.
You're going to get battered. In the other one, I don't know about this one. It's so difficult to call because I really want. And he gets hacked off with me because if you get mates, you get mates. I want Moisey to win.
I think West Ham have played better away from home in Europe.
Yeah,
they really have turned up away from home. I think they've got the tools with Bowen and Antonio at the top end who can hurt them with pace. So I don't think they'll get into that thinking they can't turn this around with what they did at Lyon and places. So I would love to see West Ham in the final.
Brilliant, wouldn't it?
It would be good.
Odd joking aside, so would I. I mean, the very idea of getting Rangers through, Scottish team through there, clubs like Motherwell getting £365,000 if they win it, against an English team like West Ham. I mean, it would just be the ultimate. What a way to end a season. It'd be great. So good luck to David Moyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the manager himself knows this is, well, listen, it's a wee bit of chance of immortality if he can guide the Hammers all the way to the final and lift the trophy.
In your career, you have lots of ups and downs, probably more downs because it's very hard to be a winner all the time. It's very hard to be winning the big games, the top games, because everybody's fighting for that prize. So you have to sometimes accept that as part of being a footballer or a football manager. But I think when you get so close, you're saying, come on, is this my turn? Is this my chance? So I've got to hope that it's my turn.
I hope it's Davy Moyes' turn, as he's mentioned there, Ruffy, because quite simply, when you think, I think a lot of Man United fans might just take a wee step back and say, Davy Moyes wasn't the problem.
Yep.
I've always maintained the chief executive was the problem.
Yeah, well, we get the privilege of interviewing him when he was out of that job. You know, remember we went over to Hampden and we did an exclusive with him, and he was perfectly honest in everything that we asked him, and he wanted to get back to where he was, and he went in the right route. You know, he went over to Spain with him and interviewed him over there. So no, all credit to him, you know, for getting him back to. I don't think any of us were disillusioned by what he'd done, because we all knew he was a fantastic manager and a good manager to have about.
Yeah, the only thing that I think most of us are looking at is Eintracht Frankfurt have, again, surprised more than a few. When you knock out Barcelona, it's no mean feat, even though they're going through what I would call a transition. But it's, by the way, it's a transition with guys like Aubameyang in their team.
Similar to probably Rangers. No one thought Frankfurt would go to Barcelona and beat them. I don't think many people thought Rangers would beat Dortmund. So the one good thing for West Ham is Frankfurt have only won 4 games at home all season.
Yeah.
So they're going there to a place that Frankfurt don't like playing. So they've got that to use to their advantage as well. So
saying that West Ham haven't won at all there this season. If we're going to do the stats, who would the Rangers fans? The Rangers fans watching this now, we were all very positive with our scoreline predictions. Let's say Rangers in the final.
Yeah.
Who for the Rangers fans that really know their football, they want the trophy. They're not worried about a glamour game with West Ham or whatever. Who do they want to play in the final? Who would you want?
I think Rangers would want West Ham.
Aye?
No, I think Frankfurt.
You think so? Well, because they've beaten all the German sides. Yeah, well,
But it's the
maybe
same
you're
as who would Liverpool have wanted last night? They probably wanted Real Madrid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting. What about
You
it,
never
Ruffy?
got my wee trivia question that the old boy at the golf gave me. The ironic, if things go, if West Ham lose tonight, what does that throw up? Two teams that are in the final.
Eintracht Frankfurt against.
No, they're not against, but the two teams of this trivia question that are now in the final of a most significant European tie ever.
I hope the old boy worded it better than that.
No. It was,
talking about?
yeah, well, right, Real Madrid are there.
Yeah.
If West Ham lose tonight,
Uh-huh.
it throws up a significant final of years and years ago.
So Liverpool
Was
played
it the
Real
one at
Madrid.
Hamden, 1960?
Eintracht Frankfurt.
Real Madrid and Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a coincidence, that.
Yeah, but they're not playing in the
No,
same
but they're still in the
Separate
final.
tournament.
But they're still in the final.
There were two finals.
Absolutely. Two, absolutely.
Shite question. What's the name of the guy that gave you this question?
Well, I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
Anyway, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Fancy hosting a quiz show, aye?
That was brilliant, Ruffy. Well done. Anyway, apart from anything else, I'm going to go West Ham to win it in extra time. Ruffy?
Yeah, I'll go for that as well. West Ham, please.
I think West Ham in 90 minutes.
90 minutes, brilliant. Okay. Tom,
I'll go full house, West Ham. Let's go for it. Good luck to David Moyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed on that. Just before, I want to talk to Gary about a few things that from his past and obviously what he wants to do in the future. Ruffy, I spotted this morning and I wondered if you could come up with a few shirts. Maradona shirts, 7.1 million. So I've written down 5 shirts that I think from the 1970 onwards. Well, we know Pelé was 125,000. We know Jeff Hurst was about 90-odd thousand pounds at Sotheby's or whatever he sold it. Yeah.
You look for the value here, the ones that would really...
I've picked 5 shirts that I think people would absolutely push the boat out for because they're special for the player that maybe scored, the occasion, and I think the provenance of, as they always say, the shirt itself. So I've picked 5.
Go on then.
Do you want to fire one out? Is there any you could
There has
think
to
of?
be a messy one in there somewhere.
There's a messy one in there, yeah.
Probably a Ronaldo.
Well, there is a Ronaldo one, but it's not the Ronaldo you're thinking of.
I'll go because it still resonates now, Peter.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it last week, and there was another example of it last week. The actual shirt that Panenka was wearing when he dinked his penalty in.
Yeah.
That must be worth a few shekels.
That's a good shout. So I've picked the 5. The first one I've picked is Cruyff's number 14 from the World Cup final in 1974. If only for the fact, okay, they lost it, but he's such an iconic figure, Gary, that I think people, if that came up, would go ballistic for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think to have something of that in your collection, you're a very rich person.
Yes.
In which game did they do the Cruyff turn?
That was in one of the...
Is that's got a wee bit of luster
74.
surrounding it as
It
well.
was 74, but I think it was against something like France. It was one of the quarter-finals or something like that, or the group games. But it was
Maybe if you could get a cigarette packet signed to go with the strip.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He might have smoked 100 fags, but he was absolutely magnificent at it. And I think thank you very much to Paul Andrew Martin, who says, Peter, what about Billy McNeil's Lisbon Lions shirt? I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that would go.
Where is that now? Any idea?
I think that might be at Celtic Park itself, alongside an Inter Milan top. Zidane's number 5 top, Ruffy, at Hampden, the goal. The one. I mean, it's one of the greatest goals now, because I think Gareth Bale is maybe laying claim to the greatest Champions League goal as well. But Zidane's number 5 from Hamden against Leverkusen.
Yeah, most
The
definitely.
left-footed volley.
And it depends how you pitch these, Peter, because you would say with Zidane, arguably that was the greatest goal scored in Scottish soil, right? Certainly when you look at the magnitude of the game, right, and how classy a goal it was. So, you know, if you were pitching that and thinking, right, if somebody was going to buy this and say they even wanted it to be a benefactor and give it to the Hampden Museum or whatever, suddenly you think there is the jersey that was worn by the guy, a famous player in his own right, who scored the greatest goal ever on Scottish soil.
Yeah.
Name me a better one.
Well, Dalglish against Spain was always my favourite.
I know.
Yeah, Douglas is a good one against Spain, but the funny thing is, the way he's pitching it, it's certainly, I think, one of the greatest goals ever scored in a Champions League final.
I think it's because it's a Champions League final at Hampden as well. It's the occasion of the magnitude of the game. I know Dalglish's was an international game, Scotland against Spain. It wasn't a World Cup final, it wasn't a European Championship final, it was a qualifier.
I think Dalglish's goal against Belgium was better. Did you know the one where he turns the guy and then curls it into the net? Let's not go through the Ken.
What about the former?
It's only an hour this show, Gary.
How come down again Joe Jordan's header against
Well,
Czechoslovakia?
that's it. Number. Do you know what number he had on? You don't know what number, do you? I thought you were some. I thought you were some kind of Scotland aficionado.
Number.
The number
Too
Joe Jordan
automatic saying 9, so it can't be.
And that
9.
was old-fashioned
It could
numbers
be
as well.
9. It could be 9. Have a bit of
But it's
confidence.
obviously not 9. You want me to dive in here? No, 11.
Unbelievable. What about yourself?
I would say 9.
Nine's a good
He's a
shout.
centre
10.
forward.
16.
Oh, why was that?
I think he came on as a sub.
All right.
Yeah. So there you are. 16.
Oh, there's another one. All right, maybe not the same value as these things, but if you want a niche jersey, and I met him through in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago, Joe Craig, who came on,
Scored his first goal.
Scored his first touch, and it was a header.
Switzerland.
So he came on for Scotland. Well, this is mere one for the Hampden Museum, and it's not going to get 7 million, but you know. Or former Tory MP David Mellor's Chelsea strip that he was wearing when he was soaking up birds' toes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not quite sure they'd be the same.
The young Spanish. What's it?
I'm not sure there'd be the same real clamour for that one. It depends on how they pitch it, though.
Well,
Zico's free kick in 82.
If only your
Hold on, I
daughter
could
find
find
that
it.
shirt. See if you found that shirt.
Oh!
You could be on an absolute fortune.
Ruffy, the Partick Thistle strap that Frank McAvenny held up
Oh,
for the cameras.
that'd have been a good tune.
That would have been a great one. Listen, I've put 2 more in. Aguero against QPR.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Number 16. It's phenomenal, Gary, isn't it?
I think, talking about the magnitude of the game, the occasion, the winning the league, the first time for MD can remember.
Yes, I think 68, 69.
The commentary went with it.
Aye.
I just think the whole day, I think that's got to be there.
Yeah, and my old pal Ronaldo, number 9 Ronaldo, the Brazilian, in the World Cup 2002 against Germany. After all the debacle of 98, he comes back, scores a goal. He had that stupid haircut, Ruffy, but it would be not a bad shirt to have with it. Who knows? But by the way, it's 38 years this very day that Diego Maradona produced something really, really special, Ruffy. When you think of the games against Napoli, the wondrous goals that he scored for Argentina, fantastic. 38 years ago, a special, special day.
The dribble.
No, 38 years ago, he banjoed the Athletic Bilbao keeper, and then he knocked out one of the trainers and kicked about 3 other Athletic Bilbao players, and they started a riot. He started a riot in the game. I mean, honestly, it's on Twitter at the moment. Did you see it? It's a belter, isn't it?
Aye, doesn't he hang back, does he?
You wonder, you know, when you think about it, I wonder who, I'd love to see the footage of it now, Steve Hodge swapping jerseys with I wonder if there was anybody else that was nearly at Maradona.
It was in the tunnel.
It was in the tunnel. Do you think there was anybody else though that was hanging about and thought they were going to get it?
I thought a lot of the players,
And he's now 7.1 million with a chunk to charity, yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, there's a great one, there's a great shirt. Thomas McDougall's just said, Davy Cooper's top, the one he scored against Celtic when, well, Thomas has obviously just embellished it a bit when he beat the entire team to score, but it's the Driver Cup final.
Chips over everybody.
Bump. up over 3 players' heads, Gary, puts it on his chest, side foots it into the back of the net and walks away as if it was a 5-a-side game.
You could do that quite regular though, that was the problem. You'd have too many shots at Davies.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, thanks to so many people who mentioned so many different shirts that would be absolutely fantastic. People even mentioning Del Piero.
Do you think that's the top though? Is that the pinnacle? It is hard to beat Maradona's when you think the how great a player he was. What a huge moment that was.
Yeah.
You had the incident itself, you had the drama surrounding it, you had the controversy. I just think you couldn't beat that one.
You were actually only 4 years after the Falklands War.
Yep.
So there was a wee bit of needle going on as well.
I think VAR would have picked that up.
Absolutely. Aye.
You're on form today, big man. Ronnie Chapman says, Peter, Derek Johnson's against Celtic. He was only 16. DJ's shirts would have been that would have been incredible if anybody had that. I wonder if DJ still got it. Anyway, apart from anything else, thanks to so many people for suggesting so many different tops and also the predictions for the European games as well. Who's going to win the Champions League? As well, give us your thoughts on that. There's Premiership matches to look forward to as well. Gary, it's an interesting time for you because sometimes you get to a situation where you and I have had a chat about this. Ruffy and Tam also, you've had good success as a manager, and then you get that situation where you suddenly lose your job and people have a perception in their head. How difficult is it now for you looking and saying to yourself, okay, I want to get back in, and where do I want to get back in, and how do I get back in?
Good question. In football, you're waiting for somebody to lose their job a lot of the time, unless somebody's really successful, moves and a vacancy comes up. But there's a big bad world out there, Peter. That's the thing, and people seem to think you're pigeonholed into where you want to work all the time. We've got the facility to go all over the world as sports coaches, managers, whatever, sporting directors. So if the opportunity comes for me to broaden my horizon, I would certainly entertain it.
What would you prefer? Do you think you're good as a manager or good as the coach, or would you like to do a bit of both? Where's your strengths?
Probably management,
Yeah.
I would say, is my biggest thing. I'm fortunate enough, I've done all facets, worked in the youth academy at Norwich initially, was instrumental in bringing Category 1 status under this new EPPP guidelines that they brought in a few years ago. Then went manager, back to assistant manager, back to management. So you get a foot in all camps really. The assistant manager's good, because you become a wee bit more pally with the players and a wee bit more friendly, and you have a bit more rapport with them. But I did find it difficult a wee bit because sometimes players would play that I wouldn't have picked.
Yeah.
And then they're instrumental then in my job, me keep my job if they perform or not perform. Whereas a manager, it's down to you to make the choices, you to make the decisions, you to stand at the camera at the end of the game and face yourself and say, I made an asset.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was my fault. So
Would you ever think of walking away from football? Is there anything else that Gary Holt could do?
Aye. I think there is a time it comes, I need to work, Tam, simple as that. I've got
absolutely.
got a wife, I've got mortgage, I've got kids. So there's only so long you can sit in the house and say, I'm really good, because CV means nothing in football. It really doesn't it? No matter how well you've done and what you've achieved. If somebody's not going to give an interview or a chance to impress them, you can sit in the house and think that you're brilliant, but you need to go out and work. So, at the end of the day, I don't mind work. So I'll go and do anything, to be honest, it doesn't bother me.
That point there, which you and I discussed that at great length last week as well, is a CV, at times can mean absolutely nothing, Ruffy. Some of the appointments that come about beggars belief, and it could be down to someone who just, it's their pal, it's their somebody from across the water that they want to bring over here. We've witnessed all sorts of people getting jobs, and it kind of at times can leave you absolutely flummoxed as to how the hell they got the job.
I agree with that part of it, but I do agree that a CV of what you've done and what Gary's done, can be very useful, but depends on what the club is looking for? Are they looking for somebody to bring young players through? Are they looking for a bit of experience? And I think it depends on how many boxes you tick. And Gary's just ticked quite a lot of boxes. Assistant manager, coaching. So when you go for jobs like that, the people who are interviewing have to take these things into consideration. And what
you say the CV, doesn't really matter as such. Is there still the old adage about it's not what you know, it's who you know? And are you already, you'd be inhuman if you hadn't. But have you already looked at maybe guys that are involved at clubs who you think might have a wee opening? Do you put texts into them, phone calls into them?
No, I don't. I like to go and watch games, and I like to, speak to people and go and visit clubs. But I hate that time. I hate when you see people sitting in the stand when somebody's in a sugary peg, and it really boils me, because we're all in the same boat trying to do as best we can. We all think we can do better than the person that's in the job, which is
tell you, just with me sitting there with my pals, I've been offered the Muddle job 4 times this season. Chairman came down, come on Tam, you know about it. I've said, nah, it's not for me.
But it's the biggest thing is when you're out of football and people say to you, oh, you've got a great CV, someone will turn up for you.
Yeah.
So the amount of times that somebody told me I'd want to punch them in the mouth. Because you don't get an interview. You don't sometimes get a reply. And it doesn't take 2 seconds in this day and age to send an email to say thanks for your application. But
and you know what as well, Gary, you don't want to be out the loop, because a name that we mentioned in the radio last week, I thought it was a classic. Where is he now? Jim McIntyre.
Yeah.
Where's Jim McIntyre now? There's a guy that is completely...
He's set up his own coaching course near his home.
Oh, he is? Right,
yeah,
right.
He's a personal trainer as well.
So but he was one of these guys that, there was always the merry-go-round for years. There were different generations of the merry-go-round. Once upon a time it was your Alec Millers, Alex Smith and all that, and it was the same guys quoted for the same jobs, and then it moves on and it moves on. But you're right, I think that's how it's great that you go there, and my tiny bit of advice, and we'll happily take, you're doing this today, we'll happily take you back in the radio anytime. Keep yourself out there. It's the way to do it. Don't let folk forget about Gary Holt.
That's it. And it's doing more of it, Tom, to be honest, and it's trying to not just think it, you have got a good CV. It's actually getting out there and talking about it, and hopefully somebody will say, oh, quite like what he says, and have a chat with him. It's getting the chat, that's the thing. See, if somebody sit down with you and have an interview and then say, no, you're not for me, fair enough. You've not got a qualm with that. It's the fact that sometimes you don't even get a reply and you're like, really?
Yeah. But the other thing I was going to ask you then is, what do you have people out there who are pitching for you as well?
Yeah, I've got an agent, and he works really hard for me and stuff like that. But it's like you said, it's like anything. As you know, in your line of work, Peter, you phone clubs and managers and that, and they don't answer the phone to you. What can you do?
Yeah.
There's also instead you don't want to be Peter Odemwingie sitting at a training ground and try to get some chief exec to give you a chat. So no, you've got people out there, and obviously yourselves and
And you say you're not 50 yet?
No, yet.
Right, shave the beard, hang up, put Gers on you. No, seriously, but every little helps. I think that makes him look a lot older than just coming up in 50.
Well, to be fair, I think...
Shave the beard. I bet that's half the morrow.
Yeah.
I bet he'll get him and say, you know what?
No,
Cowan was right.
No chance. No, I think the one thing I would say, and I think Tam's great because obviously he's got a platform as well with his show where, people, friends and a lot, just puts it in a chairman's mind. But I think the other thing about it that a lot of people will find out is, yes, there could be an opportunity in Scotland. I mean, there's a Wraith Rovers job there. There'll be other jobs in the summer coming up that might attract you. There's two things I want to ask you about this, and I think this is really important. Scotland's one area, but you'd move anywhere else?
Oh, definitely. I want to experience it. I want to go abroad. I've travelled a lot in my younger days, especially when I was in the army initially, and then throughout my career you do move about, so I get a wee bit itchy feet from time to time, but I want to experience it. I want to try that overseas.
Sorry, I'm just lying. One minute he's got the hangies out. Aye, because I need to work, because I've got family, I've got kids. That next minute I spoil you, but I'm like...
Me and the wife, the kids can stay.
But
no, it's not having any regrets at the end of the time when the day comes that I don't do it, and I say I wish I had been abroad, I wish I'd tried it, I wish there was something, a role that got my teeth going into.
Yeah. The other part of it is, if a chairman or an owner is looking right now and saying, okay, I've seen your CV, I've had a look at your CV, and I've seen those highs and then the lows, What do they get with a manager in Gary Holt? What's the ethos? What do you want from your teams?
Football, you want to win games of football. You want to play attractive, stylish football. I get people say, do you get tired of the brush of being at Livy when we were at Livy? But we won games of football. We played football in the way that suited the players. And we were very good at it.
Yeah.
In the opposition's half, we had some really exciting, entertaining footballers, and we scored a lot of goals. But we had good defenders who liked getting hurt. When I was at Falkirk, it was youths. We had a first team of average age of 18.9 years of age, and we finished third in the championship. So, and it was total football and it was played. So it's horses for courses. You adapt to what you've got, but it's the work ethic, it's the trust, the discipline, the old school values rather than the old school dinosaur.
If there was a manager that Gary Holt looks up to and thinks, that's my ethos, that's the type of manager and the type of team that he's got that I like to play in, and I'm not talking about you rattling out a Pep Guardiola, but is there someone closer to home that you...
People always ask me who's the best manager you worked under. I think it's the ones who you don't want to remember, that you take the best things away from, that you try not implement them in your coaching style. Craig Brown was phenomenal at Scotland. His attention to detail, how he made you feel, I went on the park sometimes thinking I was 10 foot tall and the best player in the world. I came off it feeling 4'8" and rubbish, but at the start you knew Bobby Owenson was brilliant. But I always hark back to my old army coach. He was the best one for me. And it's funny, Tam, because he did write his team in the back of a fag pack. And that's what it was, but you knew your role.
What's his name?
Robert Monroe.
Yeah.
He's a coach educator down in England and does stuff for the FA and that, but attention to detail, his work ethic, what he demanded out of you as a footballer, your roles and responsibilities in a team, you knew it.
And the way the world does it now, can you not just go back to the army?
I'm too old now.
Oh, are you? Right. Well, you might not be.
My facial hair will not let me in.
So he's got us in World War III now. The other thing I was going to say to you, just on a final point on that, do you wish maybe you hadn't gone back second time before? Because it's always difficult to go back. It's a strange role that you took on. I remember people saying he's gone back as director of football, and I went, he's too young for a director of football.
It's an area I want to, I'm doing my Masters University of Sport and Directorship, so that can transcend a lot of sports, but because I'm in football, I'd like to think, hopefully. But down the line I want to do it. But it was an opportunity. I got interviewed for it. The board at the time, the people from America had come in. There was a plan, there was a vision, a strategy. Just never got to
implement it.
Well, to a degree we did, but they never got to hold it through as such. There was a lot of animosity and a lot of toxicity about the place. My wife says that she was proved right, that I shouldn't have went effing back.
Yes.
She didn't want me to go back, but it was an opportunity, and I really bought into what was through the interview process, what my ideas were for it, and what they were coming back with was, I thought I could give it a go.
Yeah, and with that in mind, good luck to John McGlynn, who's the new manager of Falkirk now, with Paul Smith. They're in there, they've gone out of Wraith Rovers. The Wraith Rovers job is something that a million and one players who are just finishing up, maybe they'll be looking at the likes of yourself, Gary, and many more jobs, Ruffy, come up, as Gary mentioned there. Managers will lose their jobs because people will change their thought process in the summer.
Gary's right, it's a merry-go-round, and unfortunately you need to try and get on it, and Tam's right, you have to be out there, that people don't forget about what you have done in the game, and when these jobs come up, you need somebody within the environment to say, what about him? And I think Tam's right, and Gary's right, doing as much with us and other people and being out there and getting the word about
just keep your name out there so folk don't forget you. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Well, we've done our bit for him, so don't you forget. You can go.
We've got a great track record. The last we done long. I think even Gary once was on, and then you ended up getting a gig in the back of it. But you put people's names out there. We even did it with Jim Delahunt. Honestly, Jim Delahunt was effectively to work and got him a media gig. Who else have we done it with? Dear old Jimmy Calderwood. He was idle for a while. We got him on for to get another gig, and the best this one was? How's this for an instantaneous reaction? It was John Rankin. John Rankin was on the show, and he was saying that how he was looking for a gig and all that, and we got an email that came in during the show from a director at Clyde, saying that they would love to speak to him, and he phoned him after the show, and he was in, started work with him on the Monday. Brilliant.
That's a fantastic, because we'd got him the job at Dundee United and Hearts as well, and then he ended up on yours, and then all the way down to Clyde. Anyway, I'm only kidding on Clyde, just before you start climbing on my head. Good luck to Rangers tonight, and also to West Ham as well. Fingers crossed for both of them, with a great Scottish connection down there at the Hammers. And also well done to one of our former guests from last week. Neil Lennon has guided Omonia Nicosia to the cup final. They've taken some good scalps along the way, and I think it would be incredible if he could lead them to a cup victory. I mean, this is a man who was a dud to some people. Yeah. He must know something.
A win there, and that'll be them back in Europe. And I'm sure Neil has a lot of good memories of European nights with Celtic, so I think that'll be his task, to get that team back in.
And the last one we want to wish the very best to is Gary Holt. Great to have Gary on here with us, chatting as well. We will keep you updated on whether Gary actually folds and shows a complete lack of a spine and shaves his beard and moustache off, or he sticks with it. See if he can get a job with a beard and moustache.
I think he should. Makes him look older.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, he's got the white trainers, he's got the wee skinny jeans. He could be 23, but no one will look at the face.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got that look of a Hibs manager to me, by the way. It's available. Anyway, I'll ask the real power in the house, Mrs. Holt, whether it's beard or not. Apart from
Is that what you're going to ask me?
Honestly, can I just say something? Only when you're on with Frankie Howard and Kenneth Williams can that be taken out of context. On that note, don't forget to subscribe to the football channel from myself, Gary, and these two Muppets. Thanks for watching.